is because these kind of ideas and concept you'll be able to kind of install into your brain. It's like a software, and then it will create different decisions that you'll make in your business in regards to running different ads, running different landing pages, and we'll just give you different reality. We'll give you different results, right? So I'll give you all these concepts, all these ideas that will improve your strategic decision rules. You'll eventually make decisions and apply them to the real world, where you're going to get different feedback in form of results through your advertising. So in today's lesson, we're going to cover 8 powerful mental models that I thought are incredibly powerful and insightful to know. So the very first one is the Lifeforce 8. What is the Lifeforce 8? It's a concept from a book called Cashvertising, and it describes the 8 prime desires that every single person has, right? That is just engraved in our DNA. So the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because, like, throughout kind of the human history and human nature, not much has actually changed, right? So we've got here a picture of a mammoth being hunted down by a community, and they're like throwing all sorts of spears and weapons at it. And now we've got a group of people creating a business and going out there doing outbound prospecting, running ads to acquire clients, right? So the tribesmanship is something that we still have, which is like creating a business, being part of a community. Back then it used to be completely different, but now it has manifested in different forms. And that's why I wanted to share the Lifeforce 8 with you, which is the very first one, being free from pain and danger, having the desire to survive and extend life, enjoy food and beverages, which keeps us alive, sexual companionship, comfortable living conditions, care and protection of our loved ones, to be superior and win. And then the last one is social approval. So now you know the Lifeforce 8. You'll be able to tap into those the deepest human desires and use that in your marketing, right? So one of them is being social approval. Guess what you can do in an ethical way? Like, you could add more testimonials on your landing pages, for instance, right? You see how you can use these concepts now? Then there is the 9 learned human wants beside the Lifeforce 8, and I want to quickly run you through them as well. Is that we have a want to be informed, right? If you look at the internet and all of the internet traffic, like 99% of the people, they're not buying things, or they're not taking action. They are there to be entertained. They want to be informed. They want to learn new things, right? So that's a manifestation of that human want. We have a tendency to be curious. And it's also the reason why we binge watch Netflix shows. And that's how also copywriters of movies and series, they'll be able to constantly hook us on what's next to come. And we keep watching these series and we keep consuming this type of content. Then there is cleanliness, efficiency. I mean, this course is geared towards optimizing your performance, right? So that's a perfect example right there. We like convenience, quality, beauty and style, and we also want to make profit, right? Which is another kind of sub-want that this course is geared towards, right? We want to improve your profit, increase your return on ad spend, etc., etc. So those are the 9 learned human wants, which are, incredibly important to know in combination with the Lifeforce 8. Then there is storytelling, which is arguably the most powerful way of communication since the dawn of times. I want to tell a story as well and make a point right there. And this is a story about one of the trips my wife and I have made. This is in the center of Australia. They also call it the spiritual center Uluru. So it's the name of the rock right there, and I will take you even closer down the rock where you can cycle around. And what my wife and I discovered here was just absolutely amazing. Beside this just being, you know, an amazing trip and, you know, incredible landscapes, and just this rock in itself is magnificent. What we've discovered when you kind of like cycle around and come closer to the rock, there are all sorts of drawings and stories carved in the rocks. Right, and this is absolutely crazy. Some of these stories are more than 30,000 years old. There's one story where there's like this massive clash of a snake and a lizard. It's like a clash of the gods, and this story has been perceived for more than 30,000 years. Right? What kind of stories do you know that are that old? Like that in itself is incredible, and that proves that people since the dawn of times have been communicating through stories. And another amazing example is, another great example of storytelling is Jesus Christ. And I believe on a deeper spiritual level, what God is doing is he's kind of integrating his knowledge into stories, which is spread through people. So that's how God is sharing his wisdom with us. And it has done through all sorts of wages and prophets. This is not about which religion is best or anything like that, but you know, you can't ignore the fact that the Bible has been spread, like 5-6 billion copies have been made of the Bible, which is absolutely incredible. And this has been done by the concepts of serving people, creating a community. Jesus Christ had also kind of like a team as well that he deployed and shared the wisdom with everyone through word of mouth. That's how all the wisdom is being shared. And to this day, all these concepts from thousands of years back, they're still applying to today's world. You can still grow your business with word of mouth. In fact, you know, brands like Apple, Facebook, a lot of it is through word of mouth. And I know it's a bit weird to compare like religion with marketing, but I think it's always interesting to understand like how does something work? Like how does something spread that crazy where, you know, one person lives and then 50, 60 years later dies, and then no one ever knows anything about him, where, you know, the prophets and sages have been able to spread and shared all sorts of stories and wisdoms that remain active for thousands and thousands of years to come. I think it's incredible. So that is storytelling for you. Then mental model number 4, what people actually read in an ad. When I read this ad right there, what actually grabs my attention? And throughout this course, I will share and I will refer back to these ads multiple times. So have a look at this ad right there. This one and this one right there. So these ads are for the product, the Hathaway shirt, and they've been running for over 18 years. So this is an advertising campaign by one of the advertising greats, David Ogilvy. And by constantly changing up the creatives, constantly changing up these stories, the headlines, they've been able to maintain the performance for 18 years, which I think is incredible. Hence the reason why I'm going to refer many times to this campaign and these ads. And it's just a very interesting ad that captures attention very well. So what David Ogilvy explains here is what people actually read in an ad, what grabs people's attention, because when you know what this is, you will know what to focus on when you're creating an ad, right? So 100% of the people that see an ad, they will see the image, they will see the creative. 80% of the people will see the headline. 60% will see the caption, but this is not like a video ad, so there is no caption here. 40% will read the subhead, 25% the final paragraph, and only 5% will read through the body copy. So now you know this concept, you will know that kind of like when you apply the 20-80 rule, 20% of your actions result into 80% of the results. When you stack those two mental models, you will know that you have to focus on the creative and the headline. That's going to be your biggest leverage right there. David Ogilvy also said that the more story appeal there is in a picture or photograph, the more people would look at your ad. What a coincidence, isn't it? How we seen that the Aboriginal communities in Australia have, shared their stories through cave drawings 30,000 years ago to ads that contain a lot of storytelling, right? Like if you look at this ad, it kind of doesn't make sense. Like why does this person wear an eye patch? Why is there like a Bengal tiger in the ad? It's a very weird but interesting way of advertising a shirt, isn't it? Right? And that's exactly what we're going to learn in this course as well, how to do this. Then the next mental model is the bottleneck constraint, right? So in our advertising, there are going to be a lot of issues. There are going to be campaigns bombing. Some metrics are going to be out of KPI. And it's important to understand, like, where is the bottleneck? What is the issue in the campaign? Is it the cost per lead that is out of KPI? Is it the cost per click? Are the conversion rates on the landing pages out of KPI, out of shape? And by understanding this concept, you'll be able to identify the problem and solve it through the mental models and through the teachings from this course. And then the final mental model, number 6, which is natural selection by Charles Darwin, who said that it's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, it's the ones that are most adaptable to change. And that has also been the whole philosophy of the course. I wanted to create something with concepts, frameworks that will allow you to win not only now, but 10, 20, 30 years from now as well. And what Charles discovered was that species constantly evolve, right? So for instance, bird number 1, who was accustomed to eating big nuts, and out of the sudden, like the nut trees burn down or something, like this species just doesn't survive. But the bird number 2, number 3, and 4, they were accustomed to eating nuts and seeds and berries. And now, like those are the species that are going to survive. So during this course, I also want to encourage you to take action, right? Don't just like watch things and then go on YouTube, watch something else and go to another advertising course or anything like that. Go through this course systematically. And I've took a lot of time to really design this and create like a step-by-step program for you. So go through it systematically, implement all the action items so that you won't be left behind like the birds that I've just shown you. And finally, the RISE framework. And I want to share with you this resource right there, which is an amazing tool to help you make decisions on where to spend time the most effectively, right? Especially that kind of like in our agency as well. We've got so many different projects, so many things to focus on. Where should I put my effort in? Where should I put focus? This is an incredible tool for entrepreneurs in general. And you can plan in those projects into our flight plan. And let me share with you how these resources look. So here you've got the flight plan, and it's an amazing tool. We've designed it so that it's adaptable to any calendar year. Changes the dates, changes the days as well automatically for you, so you can map all of your projects in there. And with the RISE tool, you can quickly check which projects are important, right? So the higher the RISE score, the more focus you should put in on projects. So we've got here, for instance, crafting a sales page, doing sales calls one-on-one, writing copy, manual outreach. For instance, those are kind of the actions that you have in your business. You can apply the volume of reach that you think you will have with those projects, the amount of impact you'll make, the confidence that you have in delivering those projects, and the actual amount of effort that you need to put in hours to finalize the project, and then you'll get your RISE score. So now we know, boom, we need to write copy, and then we can chuck it into our flight plan calendar and select these dates, and then create a tab right there. So that's the week that we're going to spend writing copy. Here's also a quick summary of what we have covered, which are the Lifeforce 8. Those are the 8 human desires that are sort of like engraved in every single person. We also learned what people want. Then we discovered that storytelling is literally the oldest form of communication, and it can be incredibly powerful when used to describe your brand, like your brand story, how you started your business, etc., etc. And you can use those storytelling in your advertisements to yield better results. And then we discovered from Charles Darwin is that you have to take action, otherwise you are going to simply be left behind. So here are the action items for you, is to understand and download this knowledge, right? Like it's kind of like a Swiss Army kit. You can use it whenever you want to apply it in your ads, when you craft new landing pages. It's incredibly powerful knowledge right there. And then constantly just find these mental models out for yourself. Constantly question things like, why are things the way they are? Is there an underlying core principle? Is there a concept behind something the way it is? I always find very interesting to think about things on a deeper level and naturally have a tendency to do critical thinking, but I encourage you to always question why things the way they are. And then with the RISE tool and the flight plan calendar, you can prioritize your projects. That will give you the most amount of value in the future, which are going to be especially applicable to the next lessons where there's a little bit more work involved from your side, where you will need a couple of hours set aside to plan in those projects, maybe even a couple of days to write some copy. So I've given you those ones as well. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson so far. I really look forward to seeing the next one.